feed his prisoner and himself. Cartridges for his Winchester were getting low also, so he would take care of that too. And coffee. He could do without all the other things, even the cartridges, but he had to have an ample supply of coffee. After leaving the supplies he bought in the small storeroom he rented at Vern Tuttle's stable, he walked over to the blacksmith to pick up his horses and return to the stable with them. "I ain't sure how early I'll be here in the morning to saddle up," he told Vern. "Depends on when they turn that prisoner over to me." "Well, you know I'm always here early," Vern assured him. "If I ain't, that feller's horse is that sorrel yonder in the back stall. His saddle's in the stall with him." When all his preparations were completed, he stopped by the jail to let Sid Randolph know he was picking up a prisoner in the morning. "I heard," Sid informed him. "They already sent me the paperwork telling me to turn one Billy Cotton over to Deputy Marshal Will Tanner," he proclaimed grandly. Then he chuckled over his attempt to be clever. "What time you want him, Will?" Will paused to consider that. He normally set out before breakfast, but maybe he should let his prisoner eat his breakfast before starting. He couldn't help thinking about also fortifying himself with a good breakfast from Ruth Bennett's table before starting out again. It was an easy decision. "I'll pick him up after he's had his breakfast," he said. "See you in the morning." His chores done, he decided to stop by the Morning Glory on his way back to Bennett House. It was still a little while before supper would be ready, and he decided he was in the mood for a drink of whiskey before he ate. "Well, howdy, stranger," he was greeted by Gus Johnson when he walked in the door. "I heard you were back in town." Gus was down at the end of the bar, talking to Dr. Peters. Will walked over to join them. "Howdy, Gus, Doc," Will said, nodding to each in turn. "Just thought I'd stop by to see if you're still in business. Maybe I'm just in time to get a shot of the same medicine Doc's drinking there." "No matter what ails you," Doc said, "a little drink of whiskey is the best thing I can prescribe." He tossed it back and smacked his lips, contented. Doc's fondness for alcohol was well known, but it had no effect upon his practice. Most folks around Fort Smith felt he was more proficient at his profession drunk than sober. "I haven't had occasion to patch you up lately," Doc said when Gus moved down the bar to get a glass for Will. "You're about due to get shot. It's been a while." "I reckon," Will replied. He knew Doc was joking, but it struck a somber warning in his mind that he had paid no heed before. There was a sobering promise of tragedy awaiting all men who wore the deputy marshal's badge in Indian Territory. And the longer a man wore that badge, the more the odds went up against him. He thought of Fletcher Pride then, as he often did, and the vacuum in Ruth Bennett's life when he was killed. "It's the reason I don't walk back to the boarding house right now and tell her daughter Sophie I want to marry her," he thought. He was suddenly startled when he realized it was the first time he had confessed it, even to himself. He glanced at Doc, aware that Doc was giving him a questioning look. "I'll try to see if I can give you more business from now on so you can pay your liquor bill," he said, and tossed his drink back. "How about some service to your other customers?" Alvin Greeley yelled from a table in the back corner of the room. "I need some more of that sorry coffee you sell." Will had noticed the other deputy when he came in, but had chosen to ignore him. Greeley was not a regular customer at the Morning Glory, so he had not expected to see him there. He was eating supper with Lucy Tyler sitting at the table with him, probably because there was no one else to pass the time with. She had just gotten up from her chair, heading toward the bar, when Greeley called after her. "What's the matter, Lucy? Ain't my company good enough for you?" "Hush up, Alvin," she called back to him. "I need a drink, and it don't look like you're going to spring for it." She moved up beside Will. "You want to buy me a drink?" "Why, it'd be my pleasure," he said, and nodded to Gus to pour it. "That man will talk a body to death," she complained. "I figured that if I didn't get up from there pretty soon, I was going to go crazy." She tossed her drink back, then placed her hand on Will's forearm. "When are you going to marry me and take me out of this place?" Will laughed. "Well, no time."